I wanted to bring up in our main topic today a question about guitars and signature guitars. Mm-hmm. So there's not any one signature guitar that I want to talk about. But I want to talk about signature guitars in general. So what is your feelings with signature guitars and buying them for yourself, or whenever? Is it like an off-putting thing for a signature guitar? Because for some people, they see like a John Mayer Silver Sky and they get real excited, which Silver Sky almost like, pushes past John Mayer's signature.
I was about to say, it's not even like John Mayer's thing at this point.
No, it's just it's like a different model for PRS. But whenever John Mayer had the Fender, or whenever you look at all these different signatures that are out there, is it kind of a thing that pushes you away from them because it's already somebody else's signature? Or if it's the right person, does it push you towards them?
I think I felt differently about it before I got my Eric Johnson Strat.
Yeah, you have one.
So I have a signature guitar. It's an Eric Johnson Strat, which, I'm not 100% happy with. There are some things about it I wish I could change.
That's not because it's a signature, though.
Not because it's a signature. That's just in general with the guitar.
Yeah.
I will say, when I look at signatures, regardless, I'm still looking at feature set.
Yeah.
So if there is, let's say there's a Slash Les Paul, because there's 20 out there, I'm going to look at the one that fits the bill for what I want the most. Like, regardless of any signature instrument. If you're looking at certain, like the Brent Mason Telecaster from Fender,
yeah,
I'm not going to buy that because it is way off from what I would want from a Telecaster.
Yeah.
That is just not something I'm interested in. So,
and that one's obviously Brent Mason's Telecaster.
Completely.
There's no way of looking at that guitar and being like, oh, that's a cool Tele. No, you look at it and you go, oh, that's a Brent Mason Tele.
Yeah, my Eric Johnson Strat, besides having the binding on the neck,
yeah,
you really wouldn't know.
Yeah, from a stage you couldn't tell.
Because it's got like a stamp on the back of the neck plate, and that's it. So, signature guitars, I'm not against them, but regardless, it has to fit the features that I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I've played a Derek Truck Signature SG.
Yep.
One of the best SGs I've ever played.
Right.
I wouldn't even think twice. I would say, yeah, I love that guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I think it totally depends on the person. And also, like, let's be honest, I'm probably not going to go out there and buy the Edge's Strat.
Okay.
Like, if the Edge makes a Strat,
why?
With Fender, because while I appreciate his music,
yep,
that's not like the tone I think of like for myself. Like,
if the feature set matched what you were looking for, though, would you go buy one or go at least check them out?
I guess if it was like, so the Edge is like completely
it's different than what you're looking
genre
for
and everything. So let's say Mark Knopfler has a Strat.
Yep.
I'd be interested. I'd check out the signature, like whatever's all with it. And if it fits what I like, then I'm not against it.
Right.
But that's also, the Edge was a totally different genre of music.
Okay. So let's talk about the Stevie Strat for a second. We're kind of on the Strat kick right now.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan. So his signature Strat, he's got his letters great big on his pickguard. Mm-hmm. It is obviously a Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat whenever you see it. Mm-hmm. If you fell in love with that guitar and you bought that guitar, would you have a problem with that pickguard?
I would change the pickguard.
Yeah.
But it's not going to totally, like, change the structure of the guitar or anything. It's just going to change that pickguard. I would change that.
Yeah.
Like, that would bother me personally.
Yeah, for me, if that was my Strat that I fell in love with, that pickguard would be obnoxious.
Right.
I wouldn't mind a signature on a headstock. I wouldn't mind a signature on the back of the headstock.
As much
on
as I
plate.
love Stevie Ray Vaughan because, I cut my teeth on blues music when I was growing up. As much as I love that Strat, like, there would be a little part of me saying, I'm just another Stevie Ray Vaughan copy. So let me
feel
change,
like a poser.
Yeah, so let me change this pickguard, and then I'll feel like I can be myself.
Well, and with that Strat, you feel like you could change that pickguard, especially if you didn't change it to black. If you changed it to cream or something,
right,
it would just look like another
a
Strat.
normal Strat. Mm-hmm.
Unless you looked close. So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think for me, signature guitars, there was a time period where it was really kind of off-putting because I didn't want somebody else, somebody else's signature on there. If I wanted to buy a Strat, I wanted it to be a standard Strat or...
I think, so a lot of us fall in this ballpark of, like, especially when we're just starting out, we want a unique sound. It's kind of like we didn't want to go to a Marshall. We didn't want to go to a Fender. We wanted to go to something different because we want to be totally unique.
Yes.
When you go to a signature guitar, you constantly feel like you're not unique.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of the go-to. But I will say, however you play, the tone in your hands, some people don't believe in that, but the tone in your hands, truly is going to shape how you sound anyways. So, I mean, regardless, you have a Fender, a Marshall, you have a signature guitar, you're going to sound like you.
Yeah. So what's the signature guitar you've played, other than your Eric Johnson? Mm-hmm. Is there another guitar out there that you were like, boy, this is a really good guitar?
The Derek Trucks SG.
Okay.
That was a big one. I've played some Slash Les Pauls that are fantastic.
I have too. There's some really good Slash Les Pauls right now.
And I think he's even got that like Slash Jessica Les Paul.
That new one
that I would be super interested in because it looks just like a burst, honestly. Like a, kind of vintage burst.
Yeah, I really like that one. There's been a handful of, I think there's so many, I think Fender struggles with having so many signature like Strats and Tellys sometimes that I don't really like. The Bruno Mars has got one, and like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's it's kind of Mary Kay-esque.
So I think there are different types of signatures. So you go to Gibson, it's like constantly Slash. It's constantly like, I think Joe Perry has one, Gary Moore, Billy Gibbons. Like, it's rock heavy, right?
Yeah.
You go to Fender and you see a lot of newer artists. Lincoln Brewster. Yeah. Which I didn't know until I checked out his signature. Her. Yeah. She has a Strat. Her. Her. She played the Super Bowl. She was really good.
Her.
Yeah, her.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah. So, and then they do have like a Jimmy Page Telly, the Dragon Telly.
Yeah, and the mirrored one.
Right. So I think that's a cool market. Now, I think Fender is expanding like, their newer artists, Corey Wong, stuff like that. They have signatures that maybe it's not traditional, so I'm not too interested in the signatures. Right. But I think they are reaching a new market. I really think Fender needs to reach to more classic markets, though, too.
I think Fender could do more classic, and I think Gibson could do a little bit more new.
Bingo.
As a new artist, I think like the newest ones that I can think of off the top of my head would be like Lizzie Hale.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, that's getting like as new of an artist as I can think
Potter
of.
Had a
Grace
Flying
Potter.
V.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of new out there. Mm-hmm. I think that Gibson's doing some really cool stuff, but I do think maybe they've probably got like both feet in the vintage category right now.
Right. And when you look at PRS, I think they're killing the game.
PRS is finding a good sweet spot.
I think their signatures are fantastic. You got the Silver Sky, of course, Santana. Yep. You got Zach Myers from Shinedown.
Yep. Mark Tremonti.
From the
Great Creed.
Yeah. You've got Miles Kennedy. Yep. Which is a good shout on someone who's playing a new Telly-esque type of guitar. Right. I think
David Grissom.
I mean, talk about the assortment. Yeah. Like, they have a great new school and old school type of lineup. So I think that's what Fender and Gibson need to work on, balancing all that.
You know who else has got a good artist lineup for signatures, in my opinion?
Who?
Music Man. I love the Music Man signatures. They just got
I haven't really looked into them.
Yeah, so you think about like, the Luke guitar, right? Mm-hmm. You think about Steve Morris's guitar. You think about, there's a bunch of music, Albert Lee's guitar. They've got quite an array. They've had a lot of older players. Mm-hmm. Now they're older. At the time, they were very current. They had Eddie back in the day. Right. They had a lot of cool players. And I think they've got like a blue Sarancino. And then now they just got the new Rebea model. He just left Chapman and went there. So I think they've got a lot of really cool. I think if there was one signature guitar that I've ever played that really blew my socks off, it was one of the Steve Morris signatures. Okay. I played one of the Steve Morris signatures, the old school blue one with a black pick guard.
Oh yeah, those.
And it has like 1 million pickups in it. Not 1 million. It's got 4 pickups.
But a lot of variations.
Tons of variations. Yeah. And the neck had like that oil varnished neck.
Oh yeah.
And it was
smooth.
like the perfect C. It blew me. I didn't expect to like it. I sat down to play and was like, oh, I guess I'll check it out. And holy smokes, what a great guitar. Yeah. So I think Music Man kills it too. I think they're doing a really good job with it. But yeah, they don't turn me off like they used to, away from them. but it has to be the right feature set. I think you're right.
You know what I will say also, when you think of acoustics,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lost signature.
Why aren't we doing that?
There's not a whole, like Gibson's doing an Orianthe acoustic.
All they do is change colors.
Gibson
though. Slash. They had a Slash J45.
They did it. Well, one I thought that was really cool was Tom Petty's Wildflowers SJ200.
I forgot about that.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
but like Martin, I feel like they could do a lot of signatures.
Yeah, I think they could do a lot of signatures. I think they could, you know how Gibson does the made to measures? And they would, well, they used to anyway. And then they would make them, no, not made to measure, I'm sorry. They still make made to measures, the collector's choice.
Oh, okay.
So they would make it look exactly like the person's guitar. They done the pearly that way. They done a bunch of bursts, and they done a few other things other than just bursts. But if Martin done something similar to that and took like the old Clarence White guitar and took some like, you know, Page's old HG28 and took some of these other guitars out there, they technically just made that like the guitar, it was a D28 and it looks relict. I forgot what the name of those are called.
Okay.
But it's basically a photo laid on the top of a guitar to make it look distressed. It's not really distressed like that.
Okay.
And it's the photo of Kurt Cobain's old Martin, which is kind of interesting. And then there's a smaller body one too, I think like a triple aught or something. They've done the same thing with someone else's guitar. But there's not that many signature Martins. Let's get Brian Sudden a signature Martin.
That would be awesome.
You know, let's get Billy Strings a signature Martin.
Right.
Molly Tuttle a signature Martin. Let's get some of these people, because right now they're having to go to different brands. A lot of them are anyway. You know, I think Molly Tuttle's playing that pre-war brand, which is unbelievable acoustic guitars. But I guarantee that Martin could come up with something that she loves just as much,
Right.
and they stick her name on it, and it would be a killer guitar.
And you know how many people would buy that?
I would be interested in a lot of those guitars.
Right.
A lot of those guitars I'd be interested in.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know much about Taylor's signatures, but I feel like Taylor has enough artists they could do pretty much whatever too.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then Gibson does have a few. Nathaniel Radcliffe has a signature. Shawn Mendes, you know. Ed Sheeran had a signature acoustic there for a little bit. But
I thought it was with Martin.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. That was with Martin. But there's not like a lot of them out there. And a lot of those signatures are kind of like, I don't want to say lower end, because they're not all like cheap or anything. But they're not exactly what you think of when you think of Gibson or Martin acoustics.
Yeah, acoustics, definitely. Whereas, like, you know, Gibson electrics, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So you have no problem with signatures, though?
Not a problem.
Yeah, me either. If it fits.
If it fits the bill for what I'm looking for.
Yeah, cool.